I'm Kem Sotepenra. Let's chat. The real tragedy of slavery. Look, I'm fucking tired of talking about slavery as much as you're tired of hearing about the shit. But I don't think people understand a very, very important point about slavery, and I want to talk about it. The real tragedy of slavery. You see, a lot of people died. There are innumerable of my African ancestors just floating around as sediment in the bottom of the ocean because they were tossed off of ships like so much garbage. But that even is not the real tragedy. That's tragic. It's not the real tragedy, though. As much as there's brutality, there's rape, murder, castrations, conflagrations, you name it. All of that is still tragic, but the truest tragedy of that event that we know as slavery was the subjugation of the African mind. The mind of black people was fucking destroyed during that time. See what I'm saying? We were divested, we were robbed of our original culture, our language, our knowledge of self. See what I'm saying? Who we really were as a people. Our names were taken away. Our identities were stripped. And we were then taught that we were animals, subhumans that should be grateful to our benefactors, the generous slave owners. We should be grateful to them for rescuing us from savage Africa. Right? Africa, the land and the people that gave the world everything, gave the world mathematics, science, philosophy, the ability to write and to speak, and life itself. Every last person in the world, no matter who the fuck you are, no matter how racist you might be, you go back far enough, you got a black mom. You have a black mother. Okay? Some black woman is the reason why every last person on earth is here. I'm not going to touch on that. If you don't know shit about genetics and recessive and dominant genes and all that, go read a fucking book. All right? But it's the taking of the mind, you see? And you can still see the scars of it today in the way black people behave. You know, we were taught that we were so, in fact, it was written into law that black people were 3/5 of a human being. And not only that, that was something that was upheld by the church to justify slavery. Slavery wasn't even seen as something wrong. See, people always have to feel good about what they do. They have to feel somehow that they're good people, even the worst people in the world. And that was the justification for enslaving African people, that were the subhuman savages and that we deserve enslavement. That's how people went to bed at night who did shit like that. That's how they can go to church on Sunday and praise Jesus and then hang your ass on Monday and not feel the least bit bad about it. We've all seen the postcards of black people swinging from fucking trees with a throng of Caucasians around, cheering and clapping and smiling and taking pictures and shit like it's cool. And writing to their Aunt Sue on postcards, you flip them around, there's a dead black man and woman hanging from a tree. Oh, how quaint, how lovely. Thank you for writing to me, little niece and nephew. That was the mentality that made that behavior okay, because people were thinking they were doing this shit to people who were subhumans. And that, now, the people who did this kind of shit, right? It didn't just stop. That kind of brainwashing didn't just stop. That's one of the reasons today you can see black people, black women running around wearing fucking blonde wigs and blue contacts, because we've been a type of self-hate and has been programmed into us that we haven't shaken off to this day. It was taught to us that we were ugly, that we're violent, right? You hear a lot of shit about black on black crime today. It's still happening. That type of brainwashing is still fucking going on. Black on black crime, right? You know that England and France fought 100 years of war against each other? I've never heard that shit referred to as white on white crime. Do you know that Hitler killed 6 million Jews in 4 years during the Jewish Holocaust? Never heard that shit referred to as white on white crime. Do you know that they were burning people in Europe in the Salem witch trials because they were witches and warlocks? Never heard that shit referred to as white on white crime. And just recently, and a few years ago, the bloodiest mass shooting that I've personally ever heard about by a single person. A Caucasian man in Switzerland killed over 80 people, 83 people with an AR-15 at a fucking youth camp or some shit. In one fucking day. It's kind of impressive, honestly. That one person can wreak that much havoc on his fellow man in one day. I did not hear a single newscaster. I did not read a single story that referred to that event as white on white crime. But black people, one ignorant son of a bitch kills another in the hood. All of a sudden, oh, these Negroes are going crazy. Black on black crime. I'm all over the place right now, man. You know what I mean? I have a lot to say. Getting back to my point, it's the subjugation of the mind. And you can still see the scars in it, people today, the way they behave, the way they view each other, the way they think. You know, I remember watching a program, Bill Cosby was talking about an experiment that was done when little girls were given a black doll and a white doll, and they were asked, which doll is evil? Which doll is bad? Which doll is ugly? Every single negative characteristic was attributed to the black doll by these little girls. But when they asked them which doll was good and pretty and wonderful and all that good shit, sugar and spice and everything nice, the white doll. Who taught them that? They didn't teach them that in school. Their parents, those little girls' parents weren't teaching that shit at home. They were absorbing that from somewhere. You know, unless you think little girls are intrinsically born with ideas like that. They were absorbing these ideas from somewhere. Where, if not from the culture that they're part of? And where did those ideas come from? You know, I don't think I'm even doing a good job of this shit because there's so much to cover. How that is still implemented today. Those ideas are still implemented in people's minds today, subliminally. That black is bad, black is violent, black is this, black is that. Even in our fucking language, a black cat crosses your path as bad luck. A black day in history, blackballed. You know what I'm saying? Everything black is bad in our language. How could you even speak this language? You know, you really can't speak English and not develop either an inferiority complex if you're a certain type of person, or a superiority complex if you're another. And that's very integral to what's going on in this country and elsewhere today. But I'm not gonna really touch on too much of that shit. The truth is, no matter what's been done to you, what you think has been done to you, and even if something actually has been done to you, if you think you're being victimized, if you're actually a victim or you're not, the most resourceful position that you could take is that you're responsible for your problems. That you're responsible. No matter what the fuck's going on, I could chop your leg off. You're responsible. Because the minute you start blaming somebody else, you give them the power. Because the person who's causing the problem can fix it. So if you think that somebody is victimizing you, you're saying that they're the only ones who can fix it. But if you blame yourself for what's going on with you, if you have a fucked up mindset, you blame yourself, you're out of shape, you blame yourself, whatever it is, whatever deficiencies you may have, blame yourself, you're also investing yourself with the power to change them and to do something about it. So even if I may be aware of all these historical things that have taken place, I don't fucking blame anybody for anything that's happened to me. I don't have that kind of mindset. I haven't walked around weeping because, oh my God, white people are racist. I live my life the absolute best way that I can. And if you're racist, fuck you. You're a fucking piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't matter. Bad things don't necessarily happen to bad people. So a person could be a racist, bigot, sexist, all the ists there are. And they could have a wonderful and successful life. There's no real fucking justice in this world other than the justice that you create for yourself. You have to do, I'm getting text messages and shit. You have to do the best you can for yourself and create your own justice. If you feel like you've been victimized, you must use that victimization somehow to better yourself. You know what I'm saying? You get hurt, you lose a fucking arm, make videos about how to do everything with your one arm, how to play instruments with one arm. You'll be a fucking success. Use it. Take the lemons and make lemonade. Don't go around blaming other people. So I know all this shit historically that has happened, but I use that shit as best I can. I'm not here trying to blame anybody. You know what I'm saying? But there is fucking blame to go around. That's the unique thing, you know, and I just want to touch on that. Lots of people have been enslaved. Lots of people have been killed. Lots of cultures have been eradicated. Okay? Death is a part of life. And the shit happens. And sometimes death is visited upon you by your fellow man. And as fucked up as that is actually a part of life. The unique thing about African slavery, though, is the subjugation of the African mind, the destruction of the African mind. Today, you can still go to Africa and find 100 black Africans in a fucking church worshiping a statue of a white Jesus. The fuck is wrong with the world? But you could still find shit like that going on. You know what I'm saying? But you'll never go to Europe and find Europeans in a church worshiping Yoruban gods or having a big statue of Osiris and Isis. There's certain irony in that because the whole idea of Mary, God, and Jesus and what have you was stolen from African theology. Isis, Osiris, and Heru and Horus are the original Trinity. Whole other fucking... I'm not even gonna get into that shit right now. Any fucking way, that's a real tragedy. The subjugation of the mind. I'm gonna end this here because I have a lot to say, and you know what? Why fucking bother? Most people are willfully ignorant. Everybody's ignorant, but most people are willfully ignorant. And those people who are willfully ignorant, you can't do anything for. So if anybody out there learned anything on this video, great. I don't really expect it. I just want to put my point of view out there, and that's my point of view, and I think it's true. That is a real tragedy. I think a lot of people are ignoring that. They're just looking at the fact that people were killed and enslaved and shit, and they're like, oh, well, that shit happens to everybody, yes. But there was never a system put in place to convince people that they were fucking subhumans and animals, and to ingest a kind of inferiority complex that you can still find in the psyche of black people today, the descendants of slaves, like they were to African people. That shit has never been done since. It has never been done before. It's never been done since to any group of people. And if it has been, I am completely fucking ignorant of it. And that's a real tragedy of that shit. I'm done.